Good evening, I'm Oral Gibbs, and welcome to Speaking of Everything. Now we're down to the wire in this year's parliamentary election scheduled for September 26th. And with me, I have Mrs. Maria Buncamper. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Oral. Good evening to you, and good evening to the television viewers.
It's good to have you here in the program. You're candidate number 5.
That's right.
On us list.
On the US party, yeah, the blue list. It's the 3rd on the ballot.
Okay. So you all are number 3?
On the ballot.
And then how many parties?
9.
Wow, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's a huge ballot. Or it's going to be really small print.
So how's the campaigning going?
The campaigning is going good. It's hard work, but that's what campaigning is, and that's what governing is.
Yeah.
So it's a good warm-up to the real thing, so to speak. But it's going well. People are very responsive, and more than ever, people have thought well about issues that concern them, and they are vocal about it. And I like that because it gives me something to respond to. It gives me something to work with. And it's good to see that the concerns of the people are in tune with our plans, the preparations we are making for the next 4 years and beyond.
What are some of the things that you're hearing most on the campaign trail from voters?
People are tired of the instability.
Okay.
You know, things are never getting done. They're never getting completed. You have a plan that starts, you know, it looks good, it sounds good, and then a few months later, you have a new government, and we keep starting over and over. And people are disgusted, basically, by this instability about things just never getting done. And so they are almost to the point where, not everyone, but many are to the point where they just don't think it makes, there is a point, it makes sense to participate by going to vote. And so that's, I would say, the single most challenging aspect during the campaign. And so we focus on encouraging people that, no, you know, you can't just, as much as you have these feelings and these emotions, and many of them well-founded, you can't, not voting is really not an option, because then you really are not participating, and you have no say. And at the end of the day, it's better to give somebody a shot and hope for the best than not take part in it at all, because then you know for sure you don't have that voice in Parliament.
What I've noticed is that in the past, you hear people say they don't want to vote, and these were people that didn't have beyond a high school diploma. What I'm hearing now is from people with college degrees. They're tired and they're saying they don't want to vote. Have you heard that? Is that a concern?
Yeah, and you know, it comes down to the lack of maturity amongst the people who have been elected. And it's just some day ago, you know, someone asked me, what do you mean a lack of maturity? I said, a lack of political maturity. You know, not every squabble must end with a war, a battle, and then a separation. No, you have a difference of opinion. I came to government or to a coalition, for example, with a plan. We decided to work together. Somewhere along sometime along the way, things have changed. You change your mind. Let's sit down and discuss it. Let's come to a compromise if necessary. But this need to, I must get what I want, and otherwise it's over. No, that's a lack of political maturity. You need to be able to negotiate. The job of a member of Parliament is talking, is negotiating, is keeping your eye on the prize, which is the people's business, the results, making their lives better. And you now, as a member of Parliament, need to do what it takes to get to that objective. And you have to take your personal ills and squalms and out of that equation. Yeah. It's about the people.
So, you know, could it be that a lot of people elected to office were people with very little experience? Not a lot, but many of them. And at the same time, those problems develop I mean, you've been in government for many years. You was a minister, was a commissioner. I mean, you can go on, tell everything. But we had a lot of people that got into office for the first time since 2010.
Yes.
And a lot of problems develop along the way.
Yes. Yeah, and why is that? You know, I'm not sure. Maybe they got in with the wrong intention. I always had this impression, at least when I started out, that we all started out with this ambitious dedication, and we could change the world, you know, and we went in with that mindset. What I have found along the way is that many people who have been there for a term, 2 terms, they get to a point where it's all about just making sure they get reelected. And I remember when we were discussing the constitutional changes, particularly the structure of parliament and how often you could sit in executive office. Like the United States, the president cannot sit for longer than 2 terms, right, consecutively. Right. I suggested that we not have ministers, for example, be able to sit for more than 2 terms consecutively.
So you want to set a term limit on
yeah,
this?
But it was not a very popular proposal.
No, that won't work.
Not at all. So I get, you know, I got to move on. but you know, to me, what that does, it brings out the best in a person. You know, you have a limited amount of time that you'll be able to get the job done. And after that, you know, you move on. You make room for new innovative ideas. Right. And it doesn't mean that you're out of the political picture, no, but at least in that particular position, you move on to, let's say, create vacancy for people who are up and coming.
Right.
But yeah, that's a mindset that's not quite popular.
Well, let me ask you this. How you see Simran? What is your vision to turn things around? What do you think is important?
Well, okay, so we need stability, you know. If you really want to start off with a plan in 2016, and you want that at the end of that term, in this case 2020, to say, look, we started off this is the progress we had, and we were able to accomplish maybe not 100%, but 80%. That's what you want. That's ideal. For that, you need 4 years. So primarily, first thing, stable government. Okay. A coalition, because that's what it's going to be. That's going to last and be able to handle the pressure, you know, of working together and differences. That. Quality of life. I mean, maybe it sounds a little cliche. I don't know. It sounds like a broken record. But quality of life, I mean, come on. We all need to be able to live better. I don't think there's anybody that would say, you know what, I am exactly where I want to be. You don't need to do anything else for me. I don't need any leaders in government, or you know, I'm satisfied. No, life is evolving, ever evolving. Economy is evolving, and in this case, our economy is really very much at a stalemate at this point. And we have people that just don't seem to be able to get out of the situation they're in. And too many people at this point are not living at a comfortable, not even a bare minimum level. We need to change that. That needs to improve. In this day and age in St. Martin, there should be no poverty. Now, you know, accepted that there's poverty that is associated to social issues, such as, for example, in the household, there's an issue with drugs or alcoholism or gambling. We know that these things result in a situation of poverty of the family. But that we have poverty because people can't find work or can't find work that pays a decent wage, a livable wage, that should be something of the past.
All right, I tell you what, we have to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to continue speaking with the number 5 candidate on the United St. Martin Party list, right here on Speaking of Everything. Right back, please, stay with us.
At Nagico, the things that matter to you matter to us. Like knowing you're fully covered after an accident, the security of your home and everything in it that means so much to you. and knowing that even when the weather does its worst, you and your family are covered. At Nagico, we're about much more than just insurance. We're about the big things and the small things that mean everything.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
You're watching Speaking of Everything. I'm speaking with the number 5 candidate on the United St. Martin People Party list. It's none other than Mrs. Maria Buncamper-Molanus. And a lot of things are happening on this island. A lot of people are expecting a lot of things. But from your point of view and your background, your experience, how you view getting into office to represent St. Martin?
You know, I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I have quite a few years of experience in the different levels of government, but in particular, Parliament of the Netherlands Antilles and the Island Council has given me that opportunity to not only know how it works, but be able to deliver that message that the people need to have delivered. You know, Parliament gives you basically 3 tasks. You initiate legislation, you debate it, you pass it, or you don't pass it. You amend legislation, but very, very important is that holding government accountable. That means holding those ministers accountable for how they spend the taxes, how they carry out the plans that they told the people they were going to carry out. Now that responsibility there, I feel in the past years has not been done well enough by Parliament. And this is something you need strong voices in Parliament for. And clearly, I'm of the opinion that I have that type of strong voice. And it shouldn't be so that because it's my coalition in government that I can't question them. No, not at all. You have a government, you support this government. Or you are in opposition and you have to be extra critical of government. You call the ministers to Parliament. You call them to Parliament. You hold them accountable. You question them. You bring, whether it is on economic affairs, on taxes, on the finances of the country, on the safety, justice issues, elderly, the pension, healthcare. You hold people, you hold the ministers accountable. They are there by the grace of the Parliament. The Parliament is there based on the support of the people. If you want to have a strong voice in Parliament, you have to vote for people that have strong voices, that are going to use those voices and actually go to work, because that's an issue too. Members of Parliament not really doing their jobs. It's not an 8 to 5 job. This is a 24/7.
Exactly.
You need to prepare for your meetings. You need to listen to the people in your community, to understand where the ills are, understand where the hurt is, understand where the good is, and debate those issues so that they have a better quality of life. It's about the people, bottom line. And if you cannot communicate this efficiently, if you cannot prepare yourself, you go into the laws of the country, look at what the rights are of the people, what they should be getting from a government, see where the inefficiencies are, make those changes, and then put the pressure, that word, put the pressure on government, your council of ministers, to do the job that they are put there to do for the people. Now, look, it is literally, a member of Parliament is literally the voice. I mean, maybe it sounds like a broken record because I've said it so often, but I need people to understand. And this speaks to people also who are saying it makes no sense for me to go to vote. Look, I am saying I know your concerns, or I at least am available to hear your concerns, and I am going to bring them to the floor where decisions can be taken to address those concerns. And I can do so efficiently, I can do so effectively, and I can do that not just based on my experience, but because I know how that job is done and I'm willing to do the job properly. So that's what it is. I go to Soccer Garden, for example. The concerns of the people in Soccer Garden, safety, sewage, flooding, examples. I now, as a member of parliament, have that authority, in fact, that responsibility, and a venue, which is the parliament, to take that message to. I have that authority as a member of parliament to call the person who is supposed to fix those issues, question them, put pressure on them to carry out what needs to be carried out, to fix the situation, the concerns that the people in Soccer Garden have. And so that's the case for every district and every individual on St. Martin. I mean, would you want to let that opportunity go to waste by not going to vote? Or would you say, you know what, look, it's too important. At least let me give somebody an opportunity. Even if, let's say I get it wrong this time around, let me give somebody, to the best of my knowledge, let me support somebody who can go in there and be my voice. And you know what, after the next 4 years, if they've done a good job, I'm happy, St. Martin is happy, and that person can get my support for another 4 years. But if the person is not being that voice, is not bringing those concerns and not dealing with them where they're supposed to be dealt with, then you know what? You fire them. And you fire them how? The voter fires them by not supporting them next election.
So you're saying that you want the voters to give you that opportunity to be their voice in Parliament?
Absolutely. That's what I am asking the people of St. Martin to do, to give me that support by voting for me, because when you vote for me, you give me the authority, the mandate, the job to speak for you and to fight for you, to work for you in Parliament where actually the changes can be made to improve your life.
What about elderly and healthcare? How do you feel about this?
You know, it's been an ongoing concern. And by the way, we are celebrating this month of September is the month that we celebrate our elderly. We remember them. Alzheimer's in particular is highlighted on the 21st. And we need to be cognizant of the fact that more of our people, the world round, people are getting older. This is an issue that needs to be dealt with. It means that as people get older, the cost for taking care of our elderly will grow. But it also means that there's more money that's going to have to come available because people need to live. And right now, the pension that is being paid, it's just not enough. It needs to be addressed. We talk about it. Parliament has talked about it. Ministers talk about it. People talk about it for years, but the actual changes have not been forthcoming. So we need to do a better job with our elderly. And one of the things we can start doing is to stop taxing pensions. You know, look, you work your life, right? You get some deduction from your income tax for paying into a pension fund. But really, it is insignificant when you look at the years of pension that you may still benefit from. And how low it is. It's not fair that you get penalized twice. So that's one of the things. Okay, does that put some more money in the pockets of the people? Yes, it does. But if you're already at the lower end of a pension, it's not going to make so much of a difference for you. So therefore, we need to look at that situation better and look at having pensions, making sure that everyone has a pension. Our AOV at this point in time is just simply not doing the job. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed.
So you feel there should be an increase in pension?
It should be an increase. And of course, it has to be done responsibly because we need to be able to afford it. It has to be that at the point when you and I are pensionable age, that there is still money in the pension fund. So, you know, I mean, there are these complicated calculations that are done by actuaries to determine how high your premium has to be in order to ensure that people have a pension by the time they retire. So the calculation is done, and in more cases than not, you're going to find that they suggest that the premium be increased. Now, remember, your pension fund also has the opportunity to invest to raise funds. So there's a combination of, and there's a matter of creativity that you have to also can also address these issues with. But it is something that needs to be addressed. Healthcare, we still have not done anything about the 30% of people on this island that don't have healthcare.
What will you suggest?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but ever since I was commissioner of public health, and at the time we did not have necessarily the authority to implement a national health insurance, but we started the work. And when I became Minister of Public Health, again, we continued developing this national health insurance, meaning that everyone on the island would have health insurance. You would not have a situation anymore where you end up by the hospital and only when you're almost dead because you can't afford to go to the doctor. At the end of the day, we all still pay for it, and it cannot be so that people die or become extremely ill because they cannot afford to go to the doctor. No, universal health care, that is something that I have been fighting for, but it seems that ever since I left office, no one did anything about it. Again, everything costs money, so it has to be well worked out. But somebody's got to pick up the charge. If whoever is in office doesn't consider this a priority, will be 4 years later and still nothing would have happened.
And it's also going to help those same poor people that you mentioned earlier, which we have an increase over the years.
Over the years, yes.
All right, I think we have to go to a break. When we come back, we'll continue right here on Speaking of Everything.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
At SXM, we're taking travel and tourism to new heights. Here we boast spacious check-in areas, 10 passport control points, comfortable departure lounges, and an exciting new airport mall. Finally, there's an airport in the Caribbean that takes your travel plans as seriously as you do. Princess Juliana International Airport.
You're watching Speaking of Everything. I'm here speaking with Mrs. Maria Buncamper-Molanus, and she's my guest number 5 candidate on the United States People's Party list. And I'm sorry, I always mix up the name. Maria Buncamper-Molanus. I always put it the American way, so sorry about that. Yeah, so we're down to the wire.
Yes.
And it's going to be over in just a matter of days.
Yes. And there's only so much campaigning you can do. I mean, if the message isn't out within the next few days, then, well, it's not going to get out anymore. But so at this point in time, it's really still making those last contacts, confirming that the support is there, and encouraging people to participate in the process. Only by participation could you, really say, well, I had my say. I did what I can I've done what I can as a voter, and now the rest is up to the leaders of the country who we put there. Take the chance. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, it's better than letting somebody else decide who's going to run the country for you.
We don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to ask, there are 2 people in St. Martin at risk right now. The young adult and the elderly. What would you say to them?
I would say to them, have the confidence and give me your mandate to be your voice. That's what I would say to them. I have children. I have an elderly mother who, by the way, also suffers a form of dementia called Alzheimer's. I have passed through so many stages of it. I understand it. I get it. I make sure that I'm amongst the young people to understand what their challenges are. And I'll tell you, Oral, many of their challenges, sad to say, are challenges that we had when we came back a few decades ago. So I get it. I understand it. And I'm saying, let's agree that we're halfway there. Now I need that mandate. Give me that mandate. Give me the opportunity to go into Parliament and be your voice. Not just your voice, of course, but the voice of the young, the voice of the elderly. You know, I'm committed to doing the job. And you know I will show up to work. You know I will be that voice. And you know for sure that I will keep you informed. I have no qualms about calling my minister to the council of, to Parliament and saying, hey, minister, you tell us, show us you're on the right track. If not, we'll give you some suggestions. And we want to make sure that you inform the people, you do your work, you inform the people, and you reach your goal by the end of this term.
So you feel St. Martin needs to have people in Parliament like yourself who will really stand up for the people?
Yes, look, we've been now 6 years, we're going on 6 years of Country St. Martin.
Yeah.
And you would expect that by now we have some experience in Parliament. Well, sad to say, clearly whatever we've seen happening in Parliament hasn't been to the best for St. Martin, let's put it that way. And I'm saying yes, I'm saying give me that opportunity. I have that experience, I have that dedication, but I have the ability. I have the ability with a proven track record that I get the job done. And so that's what it comes down to, Oral. It comes down to September 26th. The people of St. Martin is about 21,000 voters going out to the polls and giving that mandate. And being bold about it, and being harsh about it, and saying, listen, we demand that you give us proper representation, but then give it to people who at least have that experience to do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I only have 45 seconds. It's all yours. You can look into that camera and tell them why they should vote for you. People
of St. Martin, voters, on September 26th, I ask you to come out and participate in this electoral process. Participate by voting. That's your part in this. Give us that job and be critical of us, but give that job to someone who you know, one, has given you and delivered good work in the past years, and give that job to someone who's going to be your voice, who's going to bring the issues to the table, hold the ministers accountable, and come back to you and keep in contact with you. I say to you, people of St. Martin, if we can do this together, it's quite simple. Let's get the job done. Well, I want to thank you for coming in and wish you much success. Thank you very much, Earl. And that's it for now. See you next time. Till then, good night. Take care. Bye.